Okay, I should be live now. I should be fixed.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Hosting now.
Hey.
Hey.
There we go. Alrighty. It should be better now. We should have fixed it.
Okay. So the thing with the UK, it's like they are quarantined old people. Is it right? Is that right?
Yeah, they're not. I don't think they're quarantining people. I don't even know what's going on with the UK. All I know is that they've been sending people home to not work in offices anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and they closed off a lot of schools as well.
Yeah, that's the first. That's the first thing they did here too.
Yeah.
Like for a week.
Thank you for the host, Shen.
Like the schools and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know in the US, like, first off, a lot of schools are closing. Not all of them yet, but a lot of them are closing temporarily. Especially it's spring break right now here. So spring break, you generally, thank you, Rose, for the host. Spring break, you generally, like, for about a week, you have off from school. But they're extending that for 2 additional weeks, I believe, out through the rest of March. And I do know that the U.S. has put a travel ban. Yeah, like Yuki said that her mother's school district is shut down until April. And there is a travel ban right now for the U.S., for Europe, and I believe now the UK as well, and Ireland. I have to double check on that, what the restrictions are.
I'm
but
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure about that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the first move is closing the school because apparently, like the children, they carry the virus, even if they don't get sick at all. But
Right.
they still carry the virus, so it's like so dangerous for the kids.
Right.
Like the kids then go back to home and bring the virus home, and that's spreads it pretty heavily.
My God.
So yeah, that's the first move.
Yeah.
They're gonna close shit up, I think.
Yeah.
In the UK and the US soon.
They.
It's kind of like you gotta do it, man. It's that way. It's
Yeah.
that simple.
You know, one thing I have to say is saying everyone should wash their hands regularly. Do you get what I mean? Shouldn't people be doing that anyways before the whole thing?
Yeah.
Right?
That's one good thing about
That's
life.
like-
People is gonna go.
Yeah, people actually now being hygienic the way they're
Yeah.
supposed to be. You know, like I wash my hands all
out
the
of
time.
scare. Yeah, the scare.
Yeah.
The power
I mean,
of the fear, dude.
Yeah, well, and
Maybe
that's the funny thing about the whole, like, all of this is, like, people are, like, just now, you know, realizing they have to be hygienic. Like, oh my God, you're telling me I can't wipe my ass and touch everything afterwards? Like...
Oh yeah, because you guys don't have the bidet.
Yeah, we don't have one of those, so we have to...
Yeah. You filthy Americans.
We are filthy Americans.
Well,
We wipe our ass and we don't wash our hands afterwards.
Bro.
I've seen so many gamers like in conventions and stuff like that actually go into the toilet and then I see them just walk out without washing their hands. And I remember telling the TOs, look, you need to sanitize all your controllers because there are people that are not washing their hands, that are touching your equipment.
Yeah.
It's completely
Dude,
mad.
imagine like a Smash tournament with the virus going on.
Oh my gosh. I think you and I were talking about this, Lariat. We were making jokes because the Smash tournament, you know, was the only tournament that wasn't getting canceled so far. And we're like, but they're the ones who don't take showers. You know, jokes aside, of course, but like you know, obviously it's, I hope people are washing their hands, using hand sanitizer frequently. And also, like, so the thing is, people need to understand the mode of transmission. This is my little here, I'm gonna Google this. COVID-19. So here's the medical kid in me coming out, because I used to work in medicine. So the mode of transmission for COVID-19 is essentially, it is what they call acute respiratory syndrome. It causes a lot of upper respiratory issues, as well as lower respiratory issues, I believe. Generally speaking, from what I've read and what I understand, is it spreads through, let's see. I'm trying to find the specific. Here we go. So it's person to person, right? The thing that makes it so severe is it's extremely contagious, and it can be people can be asymptomatic and still spread it. Asymptomatic meaning they don't have symptoms.
Yeah, that's the thing about the kids I was saying. That's pretty much it.
Exactly. Yeah. So generally it spreads through droplet, meaning when people cough, when people sneeze, saliva, things like that. So then let's say I sneeze on, like I sneeze into my hand. I go like, achoo, right? And then I go and I touch a doorknob, and let's say Lariat goes and walks behind me to go open the door. The stream did start over from scratch, by the way. I had to fix an audio issue. But, yeah. So let's say Lariat goes and he's got to open the door behind me. Now he's touched basically my saliva, right? Or droplet. And that's how it spreads. And the thing is, people need to be careful about touching their face, touching areas where, this can be kind of entered
in.
Nose,
the eyes.
Yeah, nose, eyes, mouth, so on and so forth. Because that's how it's going to be so contagious.
That's the 1 meter restriction thing.
Yeah. Right. So it's not necessarily airborne unless somebody sneezes into the air like a fucking Febreze, right? Like a Febreze like spray thing. It's not airborne. So you're not going to catch it, fucking happening to walk within the same like general vicinity, right? But the thing is, it is highly contagious. I digress. That's the thing that people need to realize is, and why it's so important to wash your hands and use hand sanitizer. And mind you, hand sanitizer, it has to be 65% alcohol or more to be effective. But also, because of all this hand washing and all the hand sanitizer use, that's going to dry the fuck out of your hands. So make sure you're also using lotion, because that's just going to be another opportunity for you to get an infection, whether it is COVID-19 or something else. When you start to get like dry hands that potentially are getting cracked or, so on and so forth. So make sure you're using lotion too, because that can be very drying and damaging to your skin.
If you're using like the tram, stuff like that to move, you should like clean your outfit when you came back from home, like to your home, like right away. Like in Rome, they're doing this thing. Like if you take the metro, for instance, then when you get back home, you gotta go like clean your clothes.
Yeah. And I think it's important too to think about all the things that you touch during the day. So a lot of people don't frequently clean their phones when they use them. And it's like, well, what if you just opened a door? You go, like me, I fucking do it all the time. I go and I open a door, and the first thing I do, I'll pull out my phone to go look at something while I'm walking. And like, that's the thing, is like, well, I just touched a door that had germs on it. Now I'm touching my phone, so now my phone has it, That's the thing, it's so easy. Yeah, wipe down stuff that you frequently touch. But especially also, like, be careful about touching your face.
Yeah, that's the most important.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm pretty sure, by the way, that they are gonna cancel the events, like all the events, because it's too risky, dude.
Yeah, I think too. To educate you guys in chat. So for Arizona, mind you, the U.S. is pretty big, but for Arizona specifically, schools are slowly starting to get closed down. I know the major universities, for example, are restricting any travel. I know ASU is a good example of travel outside the state. But we have a lot of international students as well as national and stuff like that, because ASU, Arizona State University, is a really big university within the country. So that being said, like, they're restricting travel and they're shifting to classes are all online. A lot of workplaces now are giving the opportunity that if you can work from home, you should work from home, or they're forcing you to work from home, like my work. And so like the meme with the toilet paper, by the way, didn't think it was true until this morning when I went to the grocery store. And I
Yeah.
saw one guy who had like fucking 50 things of like chicken cutlets, like chicken breast. I was just like, why does this guy have like 50 things of chicken breast? What is he doing? Why do you need that much
Yeah,
chicken?
it's so selfish. It's selfish, dude.
Yeah. So that's kind of an insight into how the U.S. is right now. It's I it's weird because it's like there's part of it is just normal, part of it, but at the same time you slowly see like these events are getting postponed. Movie theaters are cutting their seating in half, so you know they
Yeah, they did that too here,
yeah.
but then they closed completely everything.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be
In
surprised if the U.S. started following in Italy's footsteps.
yeah,
Obviously, we've already put out travel bans and stuff like that. So
yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I feel
That's
that
crazy.
that would be more complicated to apply the same quarantine stuff in America because it's so big.
yeah,
And I don't know. I see like people going insane. I have this feeling that Americans are gonna go nuts. I have
we
this
already
feeling.
are. We already
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the most scary thing about this virus thing. Like it's not the virus itself, but it's like the people reacting to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the hospitals do. The hospitals are a mess right now.
Yeah. And I think that's
Yeah.
why like quarantine's being implemented is because they're trying to alleviate the pressure that's being put on the hospitals to treat it.
Yeah.
So it's like if you lessen the rate of infection, it's easier to treat. So rather than having, there was a graphic that I really liked that showed it. Rather than having a spike in how many people get infected, you're kind of doing a curve that's a much more leveled out. So that way, it's a lot easier to, even though the spike of people being infected and then becoming immune because they get over whatever the infection is. Even though that's technically faster way to get rid of it and get through it, it's very detrimental to the hospital and it can lead to a lot more casualties versus the slow curve. It'll last longer, however it's going to lessen the stress on hospitals and lessen the number of casualties.
I'm not even talking about like the virus thing, like the emergency. It's for like if you already have like a sickness, stuff like that, like cancer, stuff like that. Like hospitals are gonna be so messy that it's gonna be a chaos in general.
Yeah.
So even if you don't have the virus, but if you have any sort of sickness in general, and like right now there's an emergency with the blood donation because people it's not going to give their blood with this quarantine stuff. So there's a lack of blood right now. It's a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shed, we haven't heard from you in a little bit. What do you have to say?
I gotta say, I've got to give credit to all the medical staff as well. Going through all of this and stuff, and a lot of people are just so concerned about their well-being, but like the medical staff are actually doing what they can to make sure everyone's vaccinated, being safe, dealing with this whole mania thing, you know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot to take in. I mean, even it's not quite sunk in for me,
Yeah.
like all of a sudden, that it's become like a global thing, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's still not quite sunk in. I think it became reality to me when I've been sent home. When they said, right, everyone's working from home now. Please stay indoors. Do not be in groups. If you're going to come into the office, do not have meetings. Get your stuff. Go home. Do your work and stuff. It's like, wow, it's become really real now.
Yeah.
And I think going to the supermarket has kind of validated that as well. Like where everyone's scrambling to get toilet roll, pasta, food, all that. It's just
the thing is, like, it's funny, but at the same time, it's not. I know. It's funny to make a joke and to make a meme about it because that's how we cope. But at the same time, it's not, because there's so many things, A, wrong with it, but B, that show the seriousness of what's going on. I mean, we can talk too. Let's talk money real quick, because the stock markets are crashing because of this. Look at like the travel stocks, and look at, you know, travel organizations and companies that rely on travel, like Airbnb and stuff like that. Like, look at these organizations and companies that now are like, well, fuck, what do we do? You know, and they're taking a huge hit for it.
Well, it's affecting all the players as well, isn't it? It's affecting players, it's affecting tournament organisers as well. It's affecting a lot of people.
Yeah, but I'm talking even outside the FGC.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like all the, you know, like you said, the travel businesses, hotels, flights.
Yeah, I heard like Germany.
Transport.
Germany is doing everything possible to like not need to the virus for the money, basically. Like they're giving priority to money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I know.
I don't know if that's a smart move, to be honest. Though.
Yeah. Well, I know with the U.S. right now, like, Trump just did a huge tax breaks for a lot of companies to help alleviate a lot of that issue and like funnel a lot of money. To help alleviate the financial pressure on the stock markets going on, at least for the U.S., which a lot of people are really angry at. But that's a whole nother political thing we're not going to discuss. But you know, it's scary because I think people aren't realizing that this isn't just affecting like an individual. This isn't just affecting like, you know, oh, yes, people are getting sick. Yes, people are dying. And yes, people are getting better. A large majority of people are getting better. But the thing is, too, is it's affecting, I think, the government. It's affecting the government, obviously, but it's affecting a lot of aspects that we didn't account for when we think about this stuff. You know, it's affecting the economy, which is huge, absolutely huge. And it's affecting a lot of areas of life that we wouldn't expect. I mean, think about people who have relatives overseas. Think about people who have friends overseas. Think about people who are in long-distance relationships or have, you know, children even overseas right now. And it's just like...
but not even that. Like, if you're in the same city, still, I see people doing, like, video calls with their relatives. Like,
yeah.
Because you pretty much can't go outside home without a real reason.
I like imagine that too. Welcome Tokimeki, and so I think Tokimeki, the fact that she's in here is actually a good segue too. So it affects, you know, it's very highly transmissive, but it affects a lot of people that have weakened immune systems, that have elderly friends, family, parents, so forth. It affects people, you know, who are already sick and so forth. And so that's the thing that people don't realize why this is being taken seriously, is because there is still a decent like population of those individuals, that the group of individuals that could be affected by this. And the thing is, like, we all have parents that are old, and they, you know, when you're older, your immune system isn't as good, and the thing is, it's highly transmissive. And so if I happen to go to a tournament, and I get in contact with somebody who is tested positive for COVID-19, and then I go and I want to visit my parents, I then put my parents at risk. Even though I might be perfectly fine, even though I might fully recover, it's the fact that you're putting other individuals at risk. And it becomes a very, like, you have to be very selfless, and you have to be...
gotta take responsibility for this stuff, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I read a tweet about a Smash event.
That's what I was segueing into.
Yeah, completely crazy. Like, one person.
What happened?
So there was a Smash event. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was in Illinois or something like that. And then there was one person that was tested positive for the COVID-19. And then the tournament organizers sent out a tweet on Twitter to tell everyone to get themselves tested to make sure that they're not been infected. So it just kind of goes to show how real it is. Like, even like when you host a small local event, the chances of you getting the COVID-19, the chances are still there. You know, like
Yeah. But that's why the quarantine is kind of needed because you can
Yeah.
trust people, you can rely on like the sense of,
And
I
the
don't know.
thing too is like people don't realize that again, it takes 2 weeks for symptoms to sometimes show.
Yeah.
And so you might not even know you have it. And so you could have been that person that went to that event that now has it. And you're like, I'm going to go grocery shopping after my local. And then, or I'm going to go do this and that, and so on and so forth. And it's like, you don't even know it because you're not showing symptoms because you don't think about that shit. You generally, most people give other people the benefit of the doubt that they're not going to show up to a tournament with like some kind of contagious disease. So yeah.
Didn't a lot of people get sick after Evo?
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I heard about something like this. So everyone,
Yeah,
a
I'm
lot
pretty
of
sure
people had the cold flu or something.
yeah. Probably most of the people already got the virus and don't realize that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
during Evo last year, there was actually a measles outbreak.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. There was something going on like in Evo last year or something.
Yeah, there was a measles outbreak. Yeah, it was measles.
Wow. Oh my god.
Oh, by the way, check out the chat. Like I sent, like one good thing about this virus situation is
Let's
this
see.
meme that like people is doing in Italy. Like check it out.
Italians
check it out
dancing
on
to the Macarena in their balconies
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
had to stay at home.
Yeah,
Let's
like
watch this.
they're going every day outside the balcony and doing different stuff like singing or
Oh really?
yeah with musical instruments.
There's like a huge
Oh,
group of
wow.
people.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That's amazing.
yeah, that's the one good thing about this shit.
So
Oh my
whereabouts in
God.
Italy are you from? Is it Rome? Did you say?
Yeah, I'm near Rome. I'm in Civitavecchia. It's like 1 hour distance from Rome,
Nice.
so I'm pretty safe. I think I'm pretty safe.
Yeah, I love Italy.
Yeah.
Italy. I've been on like an Italian tour like 3 years ago.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah.
mad about, by the way? I had 2 to 3 international trips planned for this year. The UK,
Yeah.
Japan, and Switzerland. This year, I had never been out of the US before. I was getting ready to go. And
Oh,
this
this
shit
thing,
happens.
Don't get me started on that. Like this one the year I was going to go to Combo Breaker finally,
Yeah.
and this fucking shit happened. So it's it's a bummer. It's such a bummer.
That's how I feel as well. Like this is like got the UIU sponsorship, and I really wanted to go to the US.
Yeah,
I'm like, I've
dude,
never
you
been
know-
to the US.
Yeah, it was like a dream come true, and then
And then no, you've been denied.
Yeah, you feel
got-
like personally attached or something.
Yeah, that's your punishment for being part of UIU.
Yeah.
You got-
Well,
you
we
got
all
the- you
okay.
got the
So
fun-
like, yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I feel you, dude. That's the struggle. That's a real struggle. Right
I
now.
know.
You Europeans. Oh wait, sorry. The UK isn't a part of Europe anymore.
We're gonna get on to the
We're all separate now. We're all separate.
Yeah. Thanks, Brexit.
Thank you, Brexit. Brexit. Bodied.
Willow brings up a good point. Would online tournaments be more significant during this time period? I absolutely think so. I think for people to want to keep up with the competitive nature and to talk about, or not talk about, but to play games still and to still like have that FGC feel, I guess. I think
like
online-
online in general is gonna be like so important for every
Absolutely.
activity. Every activity, not only the FGC.
Yeah, no, I
Even
100%
work
agree.
and stuff. Yeah. For artists too, like that must be a big change.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I don't like about online is that I'm not going to be able to play against people from a different continent.
Yeah,
And the whole point of I think myself and Walter going to Combo Breaker is to play the Americans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is something that we're not going to have the opportunity of doing now. We're just going to have to play against local Europeans or UK people since we're not part of Europe anymore. So that's the only thing we can do. But,
I was so looking forward to that.
yeah, no, me too, man. I feel you, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Well, and I think it's sad too because, like, I'm gonna use versus fighting as an example. That would have been my opportunity to meet a lot of my UK friends, to meet a lot of my European friends that are going to versus fighting, as well as Combo Breaker. That was my opportunity to meet a lot of my European friends and my friends that are international, and now I can't, and it bums me out because, like.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to hang out with these, like, you guys and everybody, and
Yeah,
Rose
me
in
too.
chat, for example,
Yeah.
and additional tournaments too, where this is that's our opportunity to socialize and see our friends that pretty much throughout the rest of the year we wouldn't get to see. I'm gonna use a personal story as an example. So Jasmine, or Kuramina, is one of my best friends in the FGC. I only get to see her at tournaments. That's the only time I see her in person and hang out with her in person. And so, like, Shen's like, why does Flexiss always have to mention Rose? That's because I love you, Rose. You're one of my favorite people in the UK. Not my ultimate favorite, but one of them. I love you all equally. But no, I digress. And that's the thing that sucks is that's how it is for a lot of people. That's kind of how it is for a lot of people within the FGC. Their friends are really close friends. They don't get to see outside of FGC. So it's very isolating. This kind of stuff, I think, is a good way to sum it up. It's very isolating.
Yeah, it is. And this year was supposed to be my year of absolute travel. You know, I had like a whole tour set out. Like, I was going to go to Germany, I was going to go to Greece, I was going to go to Chicago, New Orleans, and then I don't even know what's happening anymore. I don't even think I'll get to travel for tournaments this year.
Yeah.
But I'm still determined to travel regardless whether it's going to be tournament or not. So I definitely will want to still. I'm not going to let the coronavirus stop me from traveling. I have to travel. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be stuck in this country for an entire year.
I think we'll have to wait.
Yeah, we have to wait for it patiently.
Yeah.
So.
But
Yeah, but if you want to look like the bright side, quote unquote, like I think the events are gonna stop for like it's not like we're gonna get stuck in Europe.
Yeah.
While the events still are going on, like they're gonna stop the events and like postpone everything pretty much.
Yeah.
So we pretty much have to wait until next year, I think, because this thing is gonna like last for at least 6 months. I was watching like a podcast, the Joe Rogan podcast that talked about this shit, and it's not gonna like it's at least 6 months of virus going on. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, like people are just saying like, oh, but they're gonna find the vaccine and stuff, but it's gonna take a while.
Yeah, it's still going to take, like, it's great if, a vaccine is found quickly, but it's still going to take a while to distribute, and do thorough testing to ensure that it's going to work. And we have to make sure, too, that there's not going to be a new strain that is resistant to the vaccine. Like, there's a whole, like, slew of stuff behind it. But I think the biggest thing, too, is, like, I don't want to see this virus, like, isolate people to, like, such a severe extent. I think it should still be an opportunity. Maybe it's an opportunity to bring us together. Like we're talking to our online friends more, and
that's totally a thing.
But I don't know. I try to be a little bit optimistic. So
yeah.
You gotta do it.
Yeah,
you gotta have to. Yeah, it's difficult to be optimistic at a time like this, but you just got to. You just gotta.
It's only pretty much.
Yeah. But all right, guys. Do you have anything else you want to add about COVID-19, about the situation going on where you're from?
I showed you the meme with the people singing in the balcony, so I'm good.
That was you got that out of the way. You're happy.
Yeah.
I got nothing more to add, but I know a celebrity, Tom Hanks, has actually came out.
Oh yeah.
He's got COVID-19 as well, so wish him. He's such a good actor. I wish him and his family all the best as well. So, well, he's taking it like a champ. He's letting people know what's going on. He's
Yeah.
updating people about his personal struggle with the virus and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah,
too,
so
like the biggest thing, the biggest takeaways is don't be a racist fuck. First off, if you see people being racist fucks, I encourage you to say something. You don't need to get aggressive, but to say something.
But don't be selfish. Don't be selfish.
Yeah, and don't be
Don't
selfish.
panic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's kind of. It was kind of hard for me to restrain myself at that point. Do you know what I mean? Well,
yeah.
Well, I told you about that guy when he said like,
Yeah.
"Oh, he's gonna eat that later." About my dog. You know what I mean? That was such a.
Yeah, but
I
you
don't know.
did good. You did good.
Yeah.
But like,
you know.
again, at the end of the day, times of high stress, times of panic, can bring out the worst and the best in people.
Yes, I agree.
And so try to let it bring out the best in you. And again, I implore you guys, wash your hands, follow procedures, don't touch your face, support your locals, support your tournaments, and Lei Wulong's the best Tekken character.
Yeah.
We should all play Lei.
No, I disagree.
All right. Thank you guys. Sorry,
Thank
Shen.
you.
Did you want to?
Yeah. One last thing. Do you guys wear masks around your areas, your countries, and stuff like that?
Yeah. We do.
I haven't seen anybody wear them.
If I wore one, I attract attention. So I can't.
Oh yeah.
So here's the thing for me. I would wear one so that way people would like avoid me because I like doing that. I do that anyway when I go to the airport. I intentionally wear a mask so nobody will talk to me and so people won't sit near me.
Wow, what a tech.
People got beat up, wearing masks. Chinese
Really?
people especially. So like, if I wore one, I probably might end up getting beat up or something. So.
Yeah.
I think because the quarantine, like they didn't do the quarantine in UK, but if they did, like everyone would wear one. So
Yeah, exactly.
But all right, guys. Thank you, Shen, so much for dropping in. Thank you, Lariat, for dropping in.
Hey.
Again, if people want to hear more about your content, hear more about where you're from, just hear more from you. Where can they find you guys and your social media? Shen, if you want to go first.
You can find me on Twitter, so it's Shen_gaming_UK. That's my Twitter. That's the same thing for my Twitch as well.
And then Lariat?
For me, it's Instagram and Twitter, and it's Lariato Corp.
So, and Lariato Corp is LARIATO_corp?
Yes.
Okay. And I'll make sure to post that in chat here. Give me like 2 seconds. I'm just going to post the Twitters. Welcome.
Wow, it's you. That's so nice.
It's so nice.
Okay. Well, I've got a task for you, Flexiss. Please make me that playlist. And then,
yes, I got you.
Yeah. And I tolerated 2 to 3 hours of K-pop, and I never thought I was able to do that. My God.
You're talking like a chant.
Yeah, you really did.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Yeah, and if you guys want to find, me and my information, my content and shit that I do, you guys can find me on Twitter at Flexiss_. You can find me on Instagram at FlexissFGC, YouTube where I post my podcasts at Flexiss. I might actually post this segment on YouTube where we talk about this because I think that would be really cool for people to know.
Yeah.
And then also where you can obviously find me here on Twitch. That's all I gotta say about that. So thank you guys again for dropping in. Thank you guys for listening to us ramble and talk about this. I know it's kind of a heavy topic, but I appreciate it.